What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I am an herbalist and astrologer and musician, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week. Thank you for sending me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. That is super, super helpful. I've been working so hard recently, and every time y'all send a little tip or something, it just makes my heart soar. I'm looking at housing insecurity right now, so any little bit helps. Thank you so much for doing that. You can also go to Bandcamp and buy my new song, Can't Help Myself is what it's called. It's super dope. I really like it. You can also go to Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you got and put that on your playlist, whatever your favorite playlist is, you can put that on there. All of this is super helpful for me. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week we have a couple of important changes taking place. First one that we got to pay attention to is Mercury into Taurus. So Mercury has been in Aries for a little while, hanging out with the sun. At this point, Mercury, because we had that Mercury retrograde a little while back, now we are at the point where Mercury is moving fast. In this 1 week, Mercury is going to move through the whole first half of Taurus. Now, this is interesting for a couple of reasons. First, Mercury is going to change from being ruled by Mars to being ruled by Venus. So this is going to move from, so Mars is in Aquarius with Saturn. They're beefing. They're still grumpy as shit at each other. That's what they do. That's what they're here for. So they're still involved in that whole situation. But now, as Mercury moves into Taurus, where he's going to be ruled by Venus, then Venus is now in Pisces, exalted with Jupiter. This is just going to chill that Mercury out in a real nice way. This is going to, like, rather than having to deliver the messages or the mail or the, whatever the communications of Mars and Saturn, now we're going to start to get communications around Venus and Jupiter instead. So this looks like it wants to be much more beneficent. We can also see that this Mercury is moving toward a conjunction to Uranus as well, while at the same time making a sextile to Venus in Pisces. So we get a sextile, which is the aspect which is associated with Venus. And in Venus sign, making this sextile, which is associated with Venus, to Venus, who is exalted with a beneficent ruler. It looks great for the Mercury stuff. Whenever the way that I've been thinking about this, especially with Uranus here as well, is thinking about how can we work with changing stores of value so that we can still exchange value in a way that is valuable or worthwhile to both of us, right? So maybe we're dealing with inflation, or I don't know what you're dealing with in your area, or maybe we're looking at, for whatever reason, the dollars and cents don't work. Maybe I just don't have them, right? Or maybe so we're going to be looking into situations like bartering or just ways of exchanging value or delivering value, which might not come back to currency all the time. Sometimes it'll come back to currency. Astrologers for a long time have been talking about Uranus and Taurus and cryptocurrency and that sort of thing. And so maybe there'll be a little bit of movement around that, or maybe personally can make some kind of move around that or something like this. But I often want to think outside of that box entirely. I want to think about like ways of generating value that is not measured in dollars, and finding ways to give that to people. I've been thinking about the gift economy, right? A couple of years ago, I spotlighted the Serviceberry essay by Robin Wall Kimmerer, my auntie, who is, and that is actually still in the link in my bio. You can still find that there because I think her work is just so dope. But she speaks in that essay, as well as in an essay in Braiding Sweetgrass. She talks about the gift economy and how important it is to give away the things that are important to us, so as to generate well-being in our community. And so this idea of like sort of working with togetherness, Uranus and Taurus has been really strongly about togetherness in many ways as well. What does it mean to be in bodily space together? We've had a lot of disruption of that and changes in ways that we can feel about that. Our value systems around being bodies in space together. And then now that we've had some time to think with this, then we can sort of like generate some ideas around ways of generating or creating or storing or exchanging value as far as that's concerned. And also just like talking about the things that we like and the things that we like to do. Mercury in Taurus sextile to Venus in Pisces is going to be real good for that kind of thing. So I'm actually pretty looking forward to that. I think that that's going to be a nice, cute kind of situation. The other thing that's going to be taking place this week is that late in the week, Mars is going to move from Aquarius, where he's been beefing with Saturn for the last 6 weeks, and move into Pisces. So as Mars leaves that situation with Aquarius, this is going to just like calm everything down quite a bit. Most of the kind of major drama that takes place this year is going to be when Mars is in fixed signs, because when Mars is in fixed signs, then that's going to really stir up the whole Saturn-Uranus situation, which is a continuing ongoing drama from last year into this year. As Mars moves into that space, then we're going to see that flare up. As Mars moves out of that space and rather moves, it's just like Mercury did, right? Mercury moved from Mars rulership into Venus rulership. Mars is going to move from Saturn rulership into Jupiter rulership, right? So rather than being ruled by a super grumpy Saturn in Aquarius who has to deal with a motherfucker he doesn't like up in his space all the time, rather than dealing with that, Mars is going to deal with Jupiter and Venus instead. Now, so this is going to be a little bit like a little thorn in the side, a little bit for Jupiter and Venus, but really Jupiter and Venus with Neptune and Pisces, like you can't really stop that from being spacey and escapist and sweet as hell and all these kinds of things, right? Mars is not going to stop that from being a party. Mars might make that into more of a party because Mars knows how to bring the party. Mars knows how to get a little rowdy sometimes, and sometimes rowdy can be fun in a partying kind of environment. We can also see that Mars is not going to actually move close enough to conjoin either Jupiter or Venus in this space. The Venus conjunction happened already at 0 degrees of Aquarius many weeks ago now. And then Mars, by the time Mars catches up to Jupiter, that's going to be in Aries. And so that's way down the road. And so we're not going to see that happen in Pisces in this space. So really, we just get to see Mars calming down. It maybe doesn't have to be a fight all the time. We can just chill it out. It can be a little peaceful. It doesn't need to be like super crazy all the time. You know, we'll just have a little bit of time where we can just relax and be easy. And you know, it doesn't mean that we're finished with the Mars Saturn dynamics or the Saturn Uranus dynamics. And of course, Mercury moving into Taurus, that's going to put Mercury with that Uranus, right? And therefore square to Saturn as well. So it's not all easy and fine, right? Although it's likely to be easier on this side because Saturn is late in Aquarius and Venus is early in Pisces. So as Mercury moves through Taurus, he's going to make that sextile to Venus first, and then later make that square to Saturn. So there's that Saturn piece and that difficulty with Saturn-Uranus, the difficulty between like organizing and making efficiency happen in your systems management versus changing stores of value and changing ideas about what matters and throwing a wrench into the program. Those things which are consistently operational from last year into this year, Saturn-Uranus square, as we engage that, Mercury is going to have to move in there. But as we see that Mercury, it looks like so innovative and experimental, you know, like it looks like there's some good ideas. Some of these ideas won't stick, certainly. So Saturn in an overcoming square definitely likes to say no to shit. But, you know, there are ideas to be had here. And it feels a lot less pressurized than it was when Mars was there the whole time. Mars breathing down Saturn's neck, you know, it's really strong for the Saturn. You know, we can see Saturn like showing up with the iron fist and like being like, no, you really can't. No, I said so, right? We see that sort of stuff showing up with that Mars there, and being willing to back up that mandate if it needs to. But as Saturn or as Mars moves out of there, then it's like, you know, Saturn is still going to do the Saturn things and still going to draw up borders and boundaries and this sort of stuff. But it maybe just doesn't have to be like super in your face. You got to handle it right now kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like we can just look, there's time. We're going to be dealing with this all year. We can maybe like take a minute, eat, drink, be merry. Enjoy the Pisces stuff this week. It looks good. As long as the moon early in the week is going to be in Leo and it's going to be opposite to Saturn and Mars, right? So maybe don't try to use that moon for everything. But as the moon moves into Virgo and like things start to look nicer toward the end of the week. So this is a fairly nice looking situation that there's a lot. I always talk about opportunities for innovation and experimentation and stuff like that. Look, we've been dealing with a lot of obstacles and a lot of roadblocks and this sort of stuff. So this might be a good time for us to take a deep breath first, because maybe it's not so urgent. So take that deep breath and take some rest. And in that space, think with some new ideas. Something to think about. Thank you so much for being here. I super appreciate you. If you made it this far, thank you for making it this far. I would super appreciate a tip. Like I said, I'm dealing with some housing insecurity and some stuff. So I would really appreciate that this week. As always, you are welcome to check out any of the things that I do. I have a membership dropping this week. On the 15th, we are going to start doing, so I'm already on Patreon, but like I had to stop doing that because Patreon was like taking too much money and all this sort of stuff. But I'm doing a membership through my own site. All that same stuff is going to be available through my website. It's going to be cheaper than Patreon was. I'm going to make more money than or the same amount of money. Basically, it's going to be cheaper for you. So I'm still going to do the electional report and all this sort of stuff. So be sure to look at and check all that out. Of course, this will still be all here in my stories and all that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for helping me to thrive. Thank you for helping all of us as a community to thrive. I very much look forward to where the Zamboni Funk Enterprise, the spaceship, is going to in the future. Thank you so much. See y'all next time.